We are planting onions today. It got pretty chilly down in the 20s last night, but it's supposed to be really nice the next few days, so I want to get these in. I'm going to clean up this section here because this is where my onions are going. Alright, well, it's pretty windy out here, but we are going to get these onions in. It's going to be really nice for the next few days, so we are going to get a lot done. So this is how I plant onions. And deciding how or what kind of onions to plant is your decision. I started planting onions from seed last year. I gave it a try and it worked out really, really good. The biggest reason is because the sets that you buy in the store are technically a second year plant. So what they're gonna do the second year is they're gonna try to go to flower. So you're gonna kind of struggle, I feel like, with trying to get a good bulb. You want a good big onion bulb versus the plant trying to go to flower and produce a seed head. It's going to put all of its energy into trying to put this flower up, and you're fighting to try to grow a big bulb. So last year I did both, and the onions that I grew from seed way surpassed anything that I've ever grown from a set. So I'm going to keep doing that. So if you had followed along earlier, I planted the onions. I put them in a little bigger of a pot. I just sprinkled the seeds on the top and I just let them grow. They're okay to be this close together because the roots are really, really fibrous. So once I start taking them apart, they're not gonna get mad at me. And actually, if you can see some of the shorter ones here, last week I went through and I cut the tops off because I don't want them to use too much energy into making these because I wasn't ready to put them in the ground yet. But we are ready today. So behind me you can see I went through and I took all the weeds out because I didn't end up planting anything here last year. And where I planted the onions last year, I put the garlic. So we're just gonna keep going down the row and fill up everything in these raised beds outside here. So I went through, I amended the soil. I had a lot of garden soil left over from my raised beds, so I just top dressed this. I did put some Trifecta Plus, if you want to see that. That's what I used because I had a gift card to MI Gardener, so I bought a big bag of Trifecta Plus because I knew I would use it. So I'm going to use up that first. So I top dressed it, I put some Trifecta Plus down, and we are ready to plant. I'm going to do the yellows first. Last year, the yellows surpassed everything. I'm still going to plant reds and whites. The yellows, I feel like they last longer. You use them more in a variety of things anyways. The whites didn't last very long, but I'm still going to keep growing them. I don't know. One of the things before I get too far that I do recommend is getting a garden marker. I got this last year, and what a great thing it is. It's a UV protectant marker, so you can write on your little sticks and it will stay there all summer long. It won't get sun eaten and your words won't disappear, so that's a good thing to have. Another thing too, when buying onions, if you want to buy them sets or seeds, you got to figure out where you live. So there's a long day onion and a short day onion. So if you look at the map of the United States, there's a 32-degree latitude line that you're going to follow. If you live above that 32-degree line, you are in a long day area. If you're below that 32-degree area, you're a short day. I didn't know that. So it was a huge difference last year too when I made sure that I bought long day onion seeds, because I'm in upstate New York, so I'm above that 32-degree line, so I have a longer day. So that makes a huge difference too when you're growing onions. So all of them, they're all long day onions. And actually last year I got a couple like softball size onions. I was really impressed. The big things with onions too is weed control. They hate competition. Get the weeds out, you gotta stay on top of it. My uncle said, oh, if you go out and you pick weeds a little bit every single day, then you can stay on top of it. And how true that is. So you get outside, you pick the weeds, you take, throughout the season, I'll show you too what I do with onions once they start growing bulbs. Because I did do that on some videos last year that I showed, keeping the dirt away from the bulbs once the bulbs start growing, so that way they can grow out. Sometimes if your soil's too compressed around the onion, it'll grow more roots, it'll grow more greens, and it doesn't have enough room to expand that bulb. So that bulb's gonna kind of sit on the top of the soil, and they have the little teeny tiny fibrous roots that grow into the ground underneath. So, without further ado, let's get rolling. I'm going to start with my yellows. So I have them in this container, and I'm just going to pop them out. And they're all in here. So once you start taking them apart, I'll put these over here. And now you have these little guys. Sorry, it's super windy here. Oh, they're on my hand. So you have this little tiny guy with a little tiny root. And this is just fine. So this is the individual onion. So I'm gonna do my best. These are so small, but you wanna plant them right to, let's see, right to the white part here. But they're so tiny, it is really, really hard to just stick them in their roots into the top of the soil, because gosh, these might even blow away. So I'm just going to tuck them in, and then I'll keep watch over them, and this is going to take me a very long time to do. So I got everything in, the yellows, the reds, and the whites. And I wanted to show you, I have some, I might put this back a little bit. I have some onions left over from last year. I mean, they're pretty good sized onions, aren't they? And they're sprouting in my basement. So I figured I would take 2 of each kind, and I will put them in the ground, and I will let these go to seed. And I'll show you later in the season what they look like and what the seed heads look like. So this is part of the self-sustainability, because you're taking your best plants. I mean, this is a good size onion. It's still hard. So, I mean, technically I could still eat this. And it's already sprouted. So I'm gonna put it in the ground, and it's gonna grow a flower and grow a seed pod, and this is gonna be the genetics of this onion. So when you're planting the onions, you wanna pick the strongest plants with the best roots, so they have the best chance of surviving. And then when you wanna grow seeds, you take your best one that lasted all winter from last year and plant it, and you'll get a good heirloom product. So we'll, so I got 2 reds, 2 yellows. And the whites were really small, but I'm gonna give them a try. They don't last very long in my basement, so we'll see how well they do. So I'm just gonna give some distance from the previous onions, and I'll just dig down. I'm going to plant this. Now this was planted, if you can see here, when it was grown, it was on the top of the soil. But I want this to produce a flower, and I want a good root system. So I'm gonna dig this down a little bit farther, plant most of the bulb, and put soil around it because I don't want the bulb to get any bigger. I want it to grow nice and green and have a good root system, so these get really, really tall, so they kind of tend to tip over. So I want it to stay nice and upright. So I got the reds. Let's see, how far apart do you think I should put them? I don't need them too far because they're not going to get too big, but they are going to grow very tall. And I need you. Obviously this was laying on its side, so I want to get it to grow upright. It will grow. It'll go upright. Just give it, now that it's got some sun, it'll start coming up. And the little tiny whites. See how well they do. There. So then maybe for next year, I'll have my own seeds. I'm really excited about that. I haven't had a good crop yet that lasted the whole winter, that wasn't smushy and gross. To be able to do something like this. There. So I'll water everything in and see what happens. So that's it on the onions. So just keep them watered till they start really perking up. Keep them weeded and you should be good. So follow along with me through the rest of the season so you can see how my onions turn out and see how many seed pods I get out of this. I'm really excited. So if you have any questions, comment below. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, do that now. Oh, we gotta go see the chickens first. Let's go see them, because they're cute. Oh, it's a very windy day, but it's supposed to be like 55 today, so I'll take it. I got a 3-day weekend, and I will enjoy it. Hey, girls. Hi! You wanna say hi? You wanna say hi? Alright. The girls are enjoying the sunshine. Oh, somebody jumped up on me. You wanna say hi? Hi! Say, from my coop to yours, thank you for growing with me so I can grow with you. Oh, I gotta turn it off now. Hang on. Oh boy.